Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What If Naruto Conquered the Elemental Nation Part 6. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
Kumo, the shinobi village, had a long and rich history, surrounded by strategic yet natural terrains of rugged hills and tall mountains rising above the clouds. It had produced countless shinobi of the highest caliber. Each Raikage who had taken office was competent and strong, capable of defending their village from any potential threat. From an invasion by an enemy shinobi from another village to a Biju attacking on a whim, Kumo was a symbol of power and strength that could not be easily demolished. At the time, it appeared that even that symbol of power and strength would not be enough to weather the storm that was brewing from the United Elemental Empire and its emperor, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. The mere mention of the emperor's family sent shivers down the current Raikage's spine, as he had some history with the emperor's family and had grown increasingly concerned as the young man took one territory after another. Though there had been fighting, with the elemental emperor said to be on the front lines when it happened, when it came to being in the thick of battle, it was whispered that this emperor was a man, nay, a god of some kind, who did not hide behind his soldiers or his large castle. This was someone who fought on the front lines, stained his body with the blood of his enemies, no matter how outnumbered he was, and crushed everything that stood in his way. If there ever was a true god of battle and war, this is it. Not only that, but this emperor had the people's support, exposing corrupt officials in various countries, their crimes against others, and using each sin as an excuse to invade, to free the people from the control of such people and replace them with competent officials who were loyal to him. After over 3 years of fighting, negotiating, and other means involving female rulers that would make many males jealous, a large percentage of the elemental countries were nearly his now. And a certain super pervert would be green with envy if he knew half of what this man did behind closed doors with these women. But the current issue before the Raikage was not the young emperor himself and what he does behind closed doors with the women in his life, but rather how to prevent what he knew was an impending invasion of Lightning Country ... To a lesser extent, Kumo. The Raikage knew the emperor was going to invade Lightning Country. He felt it deep within his bones that the emperor would invade whether the Lightning Daimyo was guilty or not. Kumo's previous actions against Kano, the Uzumaki clan, and the Hyuga clan had no doubt put Lightning Country on the emperor's shit list for when to invade. The question was now how to stop the emperor. "You wanted to see us, Raikage-sama?" Yujiro asked as she, Karui, and Samui entered his office, looking at them with calculating eyes. "Yes, I have an important mission for you three that only you three can complete. It will be treacherous, life-threatening, and there is a strong possibility you will not survive regardless of whether you succeed or fail," replied as he noticed the three frown and look at each other. "An all-Kunoichi team. For this mission, while not unheard of, such missions are extremely rare and have a high death rate for the majority of shinobi who take them," Yujiro said, nodding. "Yes, in fact, this mission is so important that it will not be on record in any way, and if you fail the mission, I will disavow all knowledge of our village's involvement in it. The only people who will know the truth about this mission are myself, and Killer Bee because he was a teacher to all three of you. Naturally, I will deny everything when accused, and without proof Kumo will be cleared of any wrongdoing," explained as the three Kunoichi. "What exactly is the mission, Raikage-sama?" Yujiro inquired, as she was essentially the team leader between all three at this point. "Your mission ... for all three of you ... is to assassinate the elemental emperor Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto," replied, the three Kunoichi in the room staring at him as if he had just mentioned his father was the sage of six paths. "Assassinate him, Raikage-sama. Not to question your orders, but ... Are you sure?" Samui was surprised, and she had an idea why the three of them were assigned to this mission. "Yes, it is well known that the emperor has a rather healthy appetite when it comes to the pleasure of female flesh. He has several wives through various marriages, some of his choosing and others through arrangements, as well as 2 concubines who are also his bodyguards at times depending on the situation. Your mission will require getting close enough to the emperor to deliver a killing strike if not a crippling blow to his body. From the way you want things to go, we'll have to seduce him in order to get close and possibly sleep with the emperor," Karui said, seeing a nod because that was probably the only way he could see them getting close to their target and completing the mission. "Most likely, it won't be easy, but I expect one, if not all three of you, to get close to him while he's unguarded and do what needs to be done," replied, and the three Kunoichi nodded. "We'll do it," Yujiro replied, nodding. "Very well. Officially, I have the three of you listed as having taken a few days off, and I have ordered you removed from the shinobi roster to use for missions. Now go," commanded A, as the trio nodded once and exited his office. "What are you looking for, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked as she noticed him poring over some documents pertaining to his father's side of the family, looking as far back as the documents would willingly show him. The name of the very first Namikaze ever recorded. "It's been perplexing me for some time now, as I've been going over my father's notes regarding the Hurricane no Jutsu. and the name of the jutsu makes me feel uneasy, Naruto replied, turning to face his stunning and lovely Hyuga for a wife. Tsunade had trained Hinata as her apprentice, and she had grown into a beautiful woman as well as a strong kunoichi. Hinata was a deadly warrior due to her chakra control, use of the legendary super strength taught to her by the female Hokage, and the flexibility she was born with. Even Shiva, despite her personal doubts about Hyuga's strength, couldn't deny that she was worthy of being with Naruto and accepted her into the fold after witnessing the girl's power display. You think it has something to do with a certain elder god still trying to destroy you in some way? Hinata concluded after some thought, and Naruto nodded. Yes, I know my mother's side is descended from the Sage of Six Paths and ultimately from Shao Kahn. My father's side is a mystery, mere rumors and journal entries, and of blurred text pertaining to the ancestry of the Namikaze bloodline. While not as old as the Uzumaki clan, I suspect Raiden did have a mortal child to form a clan that would one day possibly combat my mother's side should they ever try anything. I'd say so. Anything conclusive other than rumors and old texts and journals? Hinata asked, Naruto frowning. Perhaps this journal is from a second-generation Namikaze, who did his own research into the family and mentions, quote, a godlike being made of lightning has blessed our clan with the knowledge of how to move faster than the eye can see. The ability to bend space and time to move like lightning itself without causing harm to our bodies almost as if it were a natural part of us. End quote, Naruto replied, Hinata's eyes widening in shock. Sounds like Raiden to me, Hinata said, and Naruto nodded. Yes, believe it or not, the Namikaze clan was originally from Lightning Country, but had to flee due to the conflict rising up there. And most of their clan's knowledge on how to manipulate lightning was taken by the first Raikage when Kuma was first founded soon after Konoha that gave rise to the other shinobi villages popping up. Really? Do you think anyone in Kumo knows about this? Hinata asked, as Naruto shook his head. I highly doubt it. And even if some of the older people in Kumo do know, they would never admit it because of how the village would look on building itself on the grounds of a nearly destroyed clan, and using lightning in a way that is not theirs by any blood right. Naruto replied before pausing to look at some information that had nearly escaped his notice. What? You seem troubled, Hinata said as Naruto handed her the document. Apparently, not everyone in the Namikaze clan left before Kumo was founded, and had actually stayed behind to join the village in secret, Naruto responded, with Hinata frowning at the name. Namikaze Daichai, Hinata inquired, with Naruto nodding and displaying the name of the current Raikage along with his own family history, which he had asked Jiraiya to obtain simply because the man's manipulation of lightning was impressive, which the young emperor suspected made him a descendant of Raiden's bloodline. Naruto realized there was more to it than that. This can't be right. The current Raikage Kumo has an ancestors named Daichai, but the last name is blacked out, exclaimed Hinata, who was nodded by Naruto. Daichai clearly changed his last name and didn't tell anyone that he was a Namikaze. The Raikage's affinity for lightning and speed is said to be almost beyond human, second only to my father's Hurishin no Jutsu, Naruto replied, Hinata looking at him with interest. What are you going to do? Hinata asked, seeing Naruto's determination despite the situation in front of him. We will clash in battle. There is nothing we can do about it, and when that happens ... we will see who stands over the other as the victor, Naruto replied, his wife now wrapping her arms around his massive build. Just be careful when that happens, because the Raikage isn't someone to be underestimated. He might be more like Raiden, you know, Hinata said as Naruto wrapped his arm around her. I know. I suspect we'll cross paths soon, very soon, Naruto replied, his voice becoming hushed. It was almost as if he had seen into the future. Emperors, do we have to wear these outfits? Demanded Karui angrily in a whispered tone. Remember, we need to get close to the Emperor. What better way than to pretend I'm an envoy from Lightning Country offering you two to him as gifts? Yujiro questioned while dressed as an envoy from Lightning Country, and Karui and Samui were dressed in very skimpy clothes one would normally see a concubine wear when in a royal palace. Why are you complaining, Karui? You don't have a massive chest like mine, causing you back problems, Samui said coldly, her face expressionless. No, I have a massive ass that is displayed in this so-called outfit. While your breasts, despite their size, are nicely covered, countered Karui. While Yujiro sighed, knowing these two had this argument long before they arrived here. Karui had suggested that Yujiro wear the concubine outfit, but Yujiro, as the leader of the trio, had countered her argument by stating that she needed to be in a position where she could react and call on Nibai's chakra if things went wrong. There was also the possibility that Naruto would detect the demonic cat inside her body and become suspicious of a Jinchuriki like Yujiro being offered to him as a supposedly submissive concubine in exchange for some form of future peace between the two sides. It's hardly comfortable with these damn things in this outfit, Samui replied. At least your ass isn't being compressed by the chest plating used to hold my breast. Enough, both of you. We're here, so look your parts, Yujiro said, as the two Kumo Kunoichi nodded. When the trio was finally granted an audience with the Emperor, they noticed Naruto sitting on his throne, looking down at the three disguised Kumo Kunoichi, who were clearly bored. He'd been seeing people all day, asking for favors and assistance in areas of his empire that were still adjusting to being absorbed into his domain. His defenses are down. His bodyguards are not present. We can attack soon, Samui thought as she noticed Naruto, Yujito, and Karui all staring at her. Greetings, Emperor Naruto. I am now Yujito, an emissary of Kumo within Lightning Country, and we have come here to seek an audience with you, Yujito said as she walked closer to the throne with her two teammates keeping their heads down, acting out their assigned roles perfectly, and waiting for the time to strike. Did the Raikage send you here to see me? And who are those two behind you? Inquired Naruto, who was clearly bored. Yes, he wishes peace to be maintained between Lightning Country and your expanding empire that is taking one country after another. And as proof of his intentions, Raikage-sama has sent these two women to be your concubines, and to use as you see fit in exchange for peace to be maintained between us, Yujito replied, as she Naruto carefully examined each woman, but remained skeptical. You there, the red-haired one of the two. Spin around for me, Naruto said. But Karui moved quickly to cover up her exposed ass that the thong part of her outfit did little to cover up, and fought to keep the embarrassment on her face down. Is everything to your liking, Naruto-sama? Karui asked, her tone submissive as she pretended to be a possible concubine for him, while imagining a chibai version of herself slicing up a chibai version of Naruto, and then lighting the remains on fire before dancing in a circle around the fire. So far, I'll admit you're attractive, but it takes more than your physical appearance to pique my interest. Are they strong? Can they fight? Demanded Naruto, as Yujito looked at him in surprise and the two kunoichi behind her exchanged glances. Fight, Naruto-sama? Yujito asked as he narrowed his eyes at her. Yes, can they fight? Can they defend themselves if someone attacks them? I like the women I have around me to be strong and capable of holding their own in a fight should my enemies seek to come after them to get to me, Naruto replied as he stood up from his throne and walked toward Yujito. The trio of Kumo kunoichi now seeing why the young emperor was more imposing up close than what she had first seen from a distance. She honestly didn't believe it was possible. How does he get to be so fucking tall? The Raikage is the only one who comes close to being that tall right now. And he's a fully grown adult while this guy is still in his teen years. If he keeps growing, he might just dwarf the Raikage by the end of this year, and who knows how big this guy is down there, Samui thought, blushing for some reason at seeing he had quite a few marks on his nearly flawless body to prove he had indeed been in quite a few battles. They are both Jounin ranked former kunoichi of Kumo, Yujito replied, his eyes narrowing at her and then at them. Yet they look submissive. Almost weak, Naruto observed, a flash of anger flashing across Karui's face. They understand their place in this situation, Yujito replied, his eyes piercingly red. Do they? Questioned Naruto, giving Yujito a suspicious look and making the two-tailed Jinchuriki sweat a little. He's on us, Karui and Samui both thought at the same time. Of course, Naruto-sama, why else are we here? Yujito replied, Naruto now smiling at her. Of course, to assassinate me, replied Naruto before quickly grabbing Yujito by the throat and turning pale in the face of Karui and Samui. Now, exclaimed Yujito while in Naruto's grasp, with Samui and Karui quickly bringing out their swords hidden discreetly within tattooed seals on their arms. The battle was brief but fierce. The sound of a man screaming as blood spilled and Naruto's helmet fell to the ground. Samui, Karui, and Yujito were panting from exhaustion after a battle that had violently shook the room they were in. Knowing they had little time to act before guards arrived to investigate what was going on, the trio began to flee by returning to the door they had first entered, and were shocked to discover that the man they had just killed was still alive. Surprised? Asked Naruto before shoulder tackling the three of them back into the room, his bodyguards joining him. How? We all saw you die by our very hands, Karui asked, seeing how they were surrounded and knowing they were doomed. I knew you were coming ahead of time, and I knew what you were planning. What you killed was just a clone, Naruto replied, as the clone disintegrated into nothingness. How did he learn about our plan? No one knew about it except the Raikage, and the three of us, Samui thought as she saw Yujito summon Nibai's power once more, but was squashed by Naruto's sudden flare of power that swirled around him in a violent storm that made the trio tremble in fear of him. You want to know how I found out about your little plan, don't you? Naruto asked, his voice cruel and demonic as he towered over the three women. I would, but I'm not going to ask, Samui thought as she saw him grin down at her and laugh cruelly. It's rather simple to figure out when you think about it. One of you told me about the plan, Naruto declared, looking at their stunned expressions. You're lying, exclaimed Karui, her temper getting the best of her, while Naruto simply laughed. Really? Then how do you explain how I knew you were coming and prepared for your assassination attempt accordingly? Naruto asked confidently, leaving the red-haired woman speechless. Then who was the traitor? Samui inquired, seeing Naruto's grin widen. Who indeed? Naruto replied before flaring his power to such an extent that the trio passed out from it. Karui and Samui awoke from their slumber to the sound of flesh on flesh, male grunts, and female moans of pleasure echoing around them. Only giving their surroundings a cursory glance, they discovered they were on the floor of a very large master bedroom, with a very large bed clearly meant to hold more than 2 or 3 people. What they saw on the bed caused their eyes to widen in shock and horror, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. The Emperor of the Elemental Empire, whom the Raikage had instructed them to assassinate, was currently having his way with their team leader Yujito. They initially assumed the large-muscled man for an emperor was raping Yujito and wondered why she wasn't fighting back sooner, or telling them to wake up so they can assist in getting him off of her. Next, they notice Yujito's expression isn't one of sadness, shame, or even disgust at being kidnapped by Naruto, as they expected. Instead, she had a look on her face that indicated Yujito was having a good time, and had been for quite some time since they were unconscious. "Look who's awake, Yujito-chan. Your two teammates are staring at me, fuck you silly," exclaimed Naruto. Yujito, barely able to look at the two. "Release Yujito-sama immediately," demanded Karui as she tried to get up but found herself chained down, and her chakra was also rendered inoperable by the seals on the manacles that were attached to each of her limbs. "And why would I do that when she loves it?" asked Naruto, still pounding Yujito and loving how the woman moaned in pleasure from when he cupped her breasts while thrusting into the woman from behind. "No, don't stop. Pound me. Pound this dirty pussy's pussy," Yujito exclaimed happily, as she felt him increase the strength of his thrusts and her eyes roll into the back of her head. "How did you turn Yujito-sama against us?" "Against Kumo," Samui demanded, his gaze drawn to Naruto's impressive shaft pounding away at Yujito. "Simple. I saved her from a pair of Akatsuki members trying to kidnap her months ago," Naruto replied before letting out a mighty roar that shook the room and crashed into Yujito. The woman screamed with pleasure from her own orgasm, one of many since Naruto entered the room. "Months. She's been turned into your sex puppet for the past few months," Karui exclaimed, as Naruto shifted to the edge of the bed, Yujito sitting in his lap while still attached at the hip. "Turned? You make it sound like I forced Yujito to be this way," Naruto remarked as one hand wrapped around Yujito's waist and the other fondled one of her breasts, causing the woman to moan in delight. "Didn't you?" questioned Karui angrily, accusing the man of exactly that while Naruto smirked. "Hardly. In fact, after I killed both Kakuzu and Hidden for their attempts to capture Yujito-chan... Well, let's just say she was overwhelmed with the need to thank me in a very interesting way," Naruto replied, with Yujito moaning once more and the two Kunoichi in front of them blushing from the sight of their naked bodies. Hidden screamed in agony as he felt his soul slowly ripped from his body before being crushed in Naruto's hands. Despite Jashin's otherworldly powers failing to save the man from death, Naruto had turned his attention to a downed Yujito, who was barely conscious at the time and stayed awake long enough to see him rip Kakuzu vertically in half before going after Kakuzu. The Jashin priest actually used his bizarre ritual, which allowed him to harm others while harming himself when he was in a ritualistic seal made from his enemy's blood, almost like voodoo, but more advanced, and with deadly consequences for those who fell victim to it. The priest amused Naruto as he began to suffer various wounds from Hidden's foul-mouthed attempts to slow him down and weaken the former Kyuubi Jinchuriki with multiple life-threatening injuries. The Jashin priest was astounded that, despite his target's injuries, Naruto just kept walking toward him, unconcerned about how badly injured his body was becoming, and had walked into the seal before shoulder-tackling the man out of it. "Who ... you?" Yujito asked as the Emperor's towering form stood over her injured body. "Your savior," Naruto replied, his body covered in blood from his healing injuries, picking up the woman with ease. "After I healed her injuries from those two idiots, Yujito-chan decided to pledge herself to me, and we had hot, passionate sex right there on the spot of the room I acquired. We have been lovers ever since, and she has been feeding me information I might like from time to time, like the one where you three were ordered to assassinate me to cause my empire to implode from within and cause the world's unification to fall apart. And what do you intend to do with us? You can't keep us here," demanded Karui, as Naruto laughed. "Actually, despite your protests, I can keep you here," Naruto countered, Karui and Samui frowning from their position on the carpeted room. "What do you mean?" Samui inquired, his grin widening. "From what I understand, you three have been declared rogue shinobi for your actions, as news of your attempts to kill me have already been made known to the rest of my empire, and to Kumo as well. Naturally, your Raikage has expressed his sincerest apologies while denouncing any and all involvement in your attempt to kill me. He sent a message to me stating how the three of you were mine to deal with in any way I see fit, and has of course." "What?" Samui inquired, concerned. "My answer to him was that the nibai sealed inside Yujito-chan, you, and Karui belong to me now, and I sent him all three of your headbands to further enforce that fact," Naruto replied, with Samui and Karui looking surprised because they had not expected this outcome of their mission. "This can't be happening," Karui muttered as she looked down in horror, then up when she heard him laugh. "Did you really think I'd send all three of you home? That I'd simply forgive you for this transgression against me?" questioned Naruto. "Do you realize how many people close to my heart would have been devastated by my death at your hands? Do you even realize the horror that this world would have faced if my forefather and Emperor of Outworld Shao Kahn had come to learn of my death? That it was done by those trying to stop me from fulfilling my destiny. So the rumors about your ancestor are true," Samui murmured as Naruto scowled at her. Indeed, they are true, and I can assure you, Samui-chan ... he would not be merciful to you in the least, Naruto replied, with Samui and Karui both looking terrified. What do you intend to do with us now? Karui asked, before casting a quick glance between his legs, where he was still buried deep within Yujito's sensitive female area, which was currently leaking with sexual juices from both of them. She had to fight the flush that was about to break out on her face. Well, that depends on you too. We all know you can't go back to Kumo because it would make things look bad for your raikage, and Yujito-chan here will be more than willing to offer the necessary proof that he did have a hand in ordering the mission to have me assassinated. Even if you didn't go to Kumo, no other shinobi village will take you in, leaving you homeless while on the run from hunter nin from every shinobi village. Our only option is to stay here in your palace ... as your concubines, Samui observed as Karui scowled, her temper flaring. You make it sound like I'm the bad guy here. But Anko-chan and Shizune-chan don't mind one bit, Naruto replied with a grin, knowing those two adored every second he spent with them. That's probably because we both still have our pride and dignity as Kunoichi, Karui retorted, shivering in fear as Naruto's glowing blood-red eyes locked onto hers. Are you saying they don't? That they're just mindless fuck toys to me and nothing more? Demanded Naruto, his power leaking out of him and making Yujito squirm in delight at having such power surrounding her. Nebai was sitting in Yujito's mindscape seal, acting as if it had been given a year's supply of catnip. And no, that is to say, I stuttered Karui, unable to respond and cursing her pride for causing this situation. Enough. Perhaps you should be the first of the two of you to know your place in my house, grinned Naruto as he moved to separate himself from Yujito, the woman whining the entire time. Naruto-kun, I want more, Yujito pleaded lustfully as Naruto smirked. I've spoiled you enough today, Yujito-chan. Rest now. You'll get another turn with me later? Naruto said, and Yujito reluctantly obeyed, curling up on a section of the incredibly large bed in a very cat-like manner that made her two former teammates involuntarily sweat drop. Karui, who had previously spoken out, discovered Naruto standing in front of her, his naked sweaty body glistening from the light in the master bedroom, and staring down at her with a hungry look in his eyes. She yelped slightly as he abruptly picked up Karui, freed her from the chains that bound her body to the floor, and pressed the red-haired Kunoichi close to his body, causing her to blush a red equal to her hair. It didn't help that one of Naruto's hands had moved to her ass and squeezed it hard, and Karui realized she was still dressed in the concubine uniform. The only thing keeping the man's slick cock from entering her was the thin cloth she was wearing to protect what was between her legs. Please, be gentle, pleaded Karui, whose pride had been shot and who was now at his mercy in terms of being taken by such an entity radiating pure power. I'll try, Naruto replied, kissing her passionately on the lips, his hands working their magic on her, and the woman was soon moaning from the pleasure, while Samui could only watch them, a blush forming on the busty blonde's usually stoic face. Samui watched her friend and teammate quickly lose whatever clothing she had on before presenting herself to Naruto with one prepared thrust that caused the red-haired woman to clutch him tightly for a long paused moment. Not surprising given how quickly she had to adjust to his size and the sensation of having him inside her body. Having Naruto's male pride sheathed inside her own sacred symbol of the female gender, Karui discovered, was not an unwelcome feeling. In fact, her body seemed to enjoy the sensation, wanting more of Naruto with each passing second. She quickly mewed into his ear, the desire behind the sound clear to Naruto that Karui now desired more, and he had no hesitation in complying. Samui watched Karui begin this lust-induced intimate moment with the elemental emperor and surrender herself to the man with almost hypnotic fascination. This embodiment of a sex god made flesh was having his way with Karui, controlling his pace, thrusts, power, and positions. Samui had never imagined Karui being dominated by a man, as the red-headed woman had a nasty temper when provoked and always pretended to be unreachable in terms of having a relationship with anyone. But now ... now Karui had been conquered by this man, this god among men, and she could no longer claim to be a Kumo Kunoichi. Those were the days. Karui's life's purpose was now to proudly serve her emperor, to fight for him, to die for him, and to make love to him whenever he desired. Samui truly understood her new place in life, and that she now belonged to the emperor, as she watched the red-haired woman cry out in pleasure from the orgasm Naruto soon brought to her body. Yujito belonged to him, and Karui now did as well. When it was Samui's turn to be taken in Naruto's bed, she did not resist when he brought her body close, when he ripped the clothing she was wearing from her body, and she, like the others before her, submitted to his touch. The Raikage was enraged. His strategy had failed. The assassination attempt on the elemental emperor had failed spectacularly, for reasons unknown to him, but the Raikage did know that the emperor now had the ammunition he needed to invade, and it could do nothing to prevent the man from invading Lightning Country and coming for him here in Kumo. To add insult to injury to his pride as a shinobi and his village's pride, 3 headbands with the Kumo insignia on them lay on his desk, one with a note on it. Raikage was let down. They are now mine. Naruto, the Conqueror's Emperor. Damn you, Gaki. Damn you, exclaimed before slamming his fist through his desk. War would befall him soon. After his failed attempt with his accomplice Haddock Kakashi to take the seat from Tsunade using the Sharingan Eye the copycat ninja possessed to nominate Sasuke once she retired, news spread of Uchiha Sasuke's second attempt to flee the village. The action was considered treason against the Hokage, and Sasuke was charged with desertion of his village as a whole and was killed by Naruto himself during his attempt to flee. Tsunade killed Kakashi publicly in front of the village, and it was no surprise to the Hokage that a large portion of the village protested the act. Kakashi had been dispatched to Ibiki to ensure that every jutsu he had learned in his life was documented, as well as how to use them and any other dirty secrets the man had kept while serving under the late Sandaime Hokage. Naruto himself had arrived to deliver the killing blow to the man, and the crowd was booing him, saying he was a monster with no right to kill the Yondaime Hokage's last student, despite Naruto being the Yondaime's son. They're all dupes. Still, Naruto paid no attention to them as he moved to bring his wrath hammer down on Kakashi, who glared up at him with his one remaining eye due to the loss of the Sharingan and the other after Tsunade ripped it out and crushed the optic organ prior to his execution day. When Kakashi was about to be killed, the crowd became louder and more active. Some Leaf Shinobi were also present, as were old ANBU friends of the son of the White Fang. They silently caused trouble for Naruto and Tsunade by whispering into people's ears to get them to protest this action. It's not fair, some of the shinobi said to those around them. Kakashi was loyal to the Sandaime. He was loyal to the Yondaime. He was the Yondaime's student. He shouldn't be charged with treason. The demon brat should be killed. This went on and on until the crowd believed what was said behind closed doors and tried to rush the execution stage. As a result, Naruto swung his wrath hammer down on the ground in front of the swarming mob, causing the massive earth-shaking moment to literally knock everyone off their feet. The mob of people had been silenced for a long time after witnessing the boy-turned-man whom they all despised unleash his power on them. It still surprised them that the brat would have the audacity to stand up to them, especially since they had made it clear how they felt about Naruto and gave the impression that they would always be better than him. They also believed Naruto would turn on them because of the conditioning the Sandaime Hokage had secretly promised would keep the brat from ever using his power on the village, or, more precisely, on the village populace, and that they could put the boy down as long as it didn't jeopardize his ability to defend Konoha from outside threats. Many felt secure when Naruto declared himself emperor, knowing that with the brat away from the village but in a position of power they could control, the village was safe, and all their past sins against the brat would be erased. After all this time, they should have known better. Naruto had not forgotten them, nor had he forgiven them. It was simply a way for him to pass the time and act on his own terms. While he would have preferred to wait a little longer after killing Kakashi for his multiple betrayals, now was as good a time as any to deliver the message to Konoha, and it would be one they would never forget for centuries. Don't mess with Naruto Uzumaki or anyone in his bloodline. In his act of killing the traitorous Konoha shinobi, Naruto had been merciless in his killing of those who dared to oppose him. The emperor of an ever-expanding empire had ripped through them all, leaving no one alive who dared to oppose him, and had ensured that their deaths were bloody and violent. Naruto calmly walked back to the execution stage, his body now drenched in blood and covered in gore, while looking at the terrified Haddock Kakashi, who was shaking in fear of him. Do you see now, Kakashi? Do you see why it is unwise to anger me, to provoke me, to manipulate and scorn me like you and a good portion of the village did when I was a child? You knew I was the Yondaime's son. You knew, and yet you chose to follow the Sandaime Hokage's actions in trying to control me. You chose to train Sasuke over me when I needed your help for the Chunin exams. And Naruto, please, why you have to understand I had to do what I thought was best for me in that situation, Kakashi replied, while Naruto's crimson eyes glowed with a primal fury. You chose poorly in the field of making choices. Haddock, and of course, this isn't the first time this has happened, Naruto said as he raised his wrath hammer above his head, and Kakashi knew his end was just seconds away. I'm sorry, I really mean it. I should have been a better sensei to you, a better person. I should have done what was right and not what the Sandaime wanted, Kakashi said, staring up at his sensei's son and seeing him look down at him for a second before bringing it down on the Jounin's skull. Apology accepted, Haddock Kakashi, Naruto said as he exited the execution stand and returned to Konoha to wash everything off his body. We have news about Konoha and what is going on inside their walls, Pain said as the remaining Akatsuki members gathered for this meeting. Unfortunately for them, the only remaining members of their highest ranking were Itachi, Kasama, Pain, Konan, Zetsu, and Tobai, who appeared in holograms that allowed them to be themselves no matter where they were. What news could be so important that we need to meet? Konoha doesn't have what we need, and their daimyo of this growing empire has acquired several Jinchuriki under his command from other villages, Kasama said irritably, with Pain looking at him for a few seconds before focusing on the group as a whole. Uchiha Sasuke and Haddock Kakashi are dead, killed by the Kyuubi Jinchuriki himself, Pain said as everyone fell silent and turned their gaze to Itachi. How? Itachi asked calmly, though his voice was tense. Apparently, your brother conspired with Haddock to take the position of Hokage, using the Sharingan and the copycat's eye to cast a genjutsu that would make her appoint Sasuke the next Hokage upon retirement. When that failed, Naruto hunted down Sasuke when your brother attempted to flee, and the brief fight resulted in the death of the Uchiha. I see. My foolish little brother made a foolish move on his end, Itachi replied, cursing Naruto for ruining his plans to redeem his clan by using Sasuke to wash away the hatred. Yes, and he's paid for it with his life. He has no heirs to his name. Apparently, your brother thought having progeny that would one day surpass him was stupid, and wanted to become the only Uchiha in existence with the lifespan of an immortal god, Pain said, leaving Itachi silent for a moment. So he died a virgin as well. That stinks on multiple levels. Dying is one thing, but dying a virgin regardless of your sexual preferences is just sad. Kasama remarked, Itachi glaring at him and making the former swordsman flinch. Tobai isn't a virgin. Tobai is a good boy who gets laid a lot. With a lot of women, Tobai exclaimed excitedly. Enough Tobai. The loss of 4 of our members in the time since the Kyuubi Jinchuriki ascended to the throne of daimyo and then emperor has caused us many setbacks. If we don't change things soon, the chances of us achieving our goals will be lost, and that is something we cannot afford. What about the Kyuubi itself? I heard some rumors about the brat absorbing it into his body and merging with the Biju. Will that make extracting the beat difficult? Kasama inquired, as Pain remained silent for a moment. Unknown. It could make it easier or harder. We won't know for sure until the Jinchuriki is brought here to extract the Biju. Now go, said Pain, as the two nodded and walked away, their holograms dying out. When the meeting was over, Pain walked back to his office, Conan beside him, and it was clear the woman was worried. You have yet to decide whether to accept the Elder God's offer or not to kill your own cousin, Conan said, pausing and turning to face her. I know. Even if I do, there's no guarantee the Elder God Raiden will honor the deal the way I think he should. For all I know, he'll simply raise the dead, leaving me with undead kinsmen walking around. The gods of the past are known for making promises, but fulfilling them in their own twisted way, and to assume otherwise would not be the smart thing to do, Pain replied before continuing on his way. So the answer is no, Conan said, not pausing this time. Correct, Pain said, his tone telling her to drop it. Good. That means Nagato is still alive behind this form he calls Pain, Conan reasoned as he walked alongside him. The brat invaded Lightning Country, exclaimed the Raikage of Kumo, angrily, as one of his ANBU in the room nodded quickly, his current appearance looking as if he had just escaped a war zone. Yes, Raikage-sama. I just barely escaped the battle. The Namikaze revealed what you did and discovered several of the nobles in Lightning Country were pilfering funds from various villages in need of financial support, which reached the Emperor's ears. He felt it was more than enough of a reason to invade and apparently found evidence of the Lightning Daimyo allowing it and excusing it. Where is B? I inquired, the ANBU looking concerned. When I last saw him, he was fighting the Emperor one-on-one, and they were really shaking things up around them, Raikage-sama. I would have stayed. But B said to come back here to give you a report on the situation, said the ANBU, his teeth clenched in rage. How was he doing? I inquired, his Kumo ANBU looking unsure. It's difficult to say, Raikage-sama. They were really hitting each other with everything they had. The Emperor himself looked like he was enjoying the fight, and in a way, I think B was as well. At the time, the battle could have gone either way between them, but to be honest, Raikage-sama, I think the Emperor will win, replied the Kumo ANBU, his fists tightening to the point where his fingernails. Prepare all Kumo shinobi for battle. Everyone, from ANBU to Genin. We are going to fight and take this Emperor down now, even if I force him to retreat for the time being. It will show that Kumo and Lightning Country are not easily taken from their owners, said it, with the ANBU bowing and leaving. Naruto grinned as he pushed Killer Bee into a wall and began punching him in the ribs, hearing them crack under the force of each blow. Killer Bee retaliated by striking Naruto in the face and stomach, knocking the Emperor back several steps. Killer Bee's swords were scattered across the battlefield, while the Emperor's own Wrath Hammer lay end first on the ground, out of reach to be used. Naruto didn't mind because he was enjoying the fight, which was unusual in terms of length and opponent strength. Fights with other shinobi and samurai had always been brief in comparison to now. Killer Bee, on the other hand, was a Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails who had long since mastered the Biju's power. Unfortunately for Killer Bee, Naruto had merged with his Biju, and the fox's power was now his. It made Naruto stronger, faster, and more endurance, and the sheer power of his body surpassed Killer Bee's. Even with the eight-tailed Biju on his side, the rapping Kumo shinobi wouldn't be able to handle a battle-hardened warrior like Naruto, as the Namikaze demonstrated in their fight. You're strong, Killer Bee. Kumo trained you well. And with your brother being Raikage, I am not surprised your treatment there was better than mine, Naruto said as he continued the assault and saw the heavily panting Killer Bee nod. The man's sunglasses had broken and fallen from his face. You are as strong as they say. I am not surprised you can keep me at bay. But don't you dare underestimate me, for I am the great Killer Bee, you see, rapped Killer Bee as Naruto chuckled after taking a high kick to the face and spitting blood. I see. I also see you are on your last legs. I admire your strength and determination. So I will make you this offer to surrender. I don't want to kill you because we are kindred spirits given what you hold and what I once did. I have no intention of killing everyone in this country once I bring it into my empire. I am uniting the world under my rule, bringing justice to places that need it, and punishing the corrupt like the ones in Lightning Count. Bro wouldn't do that. What you say is whack, Killer Bee said, smirking at Naruto. Now Yujito told me the plan when she, Karui, and Samui arrived at my home disguised as a peace offering, and Karui and Samui were wearing concubine-based clothing to ensure they could get close to me. Didn't you find it strange that they hadn't been in Kumo recently? Countered Naruto, with Bee's eyes narrowing but not saying anything. Killer Bee was told what had happened to the three by his brother, but he didn't believe it until it produced their headbands and the message from the Emperor himself. He had lost his cool and yelled at her for being an idiot, which was unusual, especially since none of it involved rapping. Killer Bee didn't care about a few of Lightning Country's nobles doing their corrupt thing because there was always corruption, and he believed the Lightning Daimyo would take care of it. Though hearing the Lightning Daimyo was involved made Killer Bee wonder if this was a long time coming in terms of karma retribution for past sins they had committed against the Uzumaki and Hyuga clans. Naruto had come to Lightning Country with a goal in mind, and he was hitting it on the head so far, with Bee being pushed to the limit. My bro isn't going to take this lightly, Bee said, smirking at Naruto. He shouldn't have tried to assassinate me. He shouldn't have tried to kidnap my mother or Hinata-chan in the past. Those Lightning Country nobles shouldn't be oppressing their people, and you shouldn't follow a brother of a Raikage who allows almost all of these things to happen, said Naruto, shaking his head because he didn't want to believe his brother was bad, even if some of his decisions were just that. Bad. What do you want, bro? Surely the fighting will stop if you say no, asked Bee, as Naruto's smile faded and he became deadly serious. You know what I want. You know what needs to be done. Lightning Country and Kumo will be absorbed into the Empire. A strong loyal regent of my choice will be installed, and if I wish it, I can still be the Raikage of Kumo should I deem him still worthy of it, Naruto explained to Bee, who was staring him down. Before Bee could respond, appeared, enraged, with his army of Kumo shinobi behind him. Naruto turned his head to look at her, then at Bee, his masked face smiling. You little shit. Did you think I'd let you get away with this? That I wouldn't stop you with all the power in my body and every Kumo shinobi under my command? Yelled, his gaze fixed on Naruto. Of course not. You wouldn't be much of a Raikage if you just rolled over and died at the first sign of invasion, Naruto remarked as he moved with his lightning armor on and moved to take the other man's head off with one swing, only for Naruto to catch the fist and flinch slightly as the lightning attacked his body. Grinning even more, Naruto let his power flow over him, causing a red demonic cloak to cover his body, the injuries he received from Bee to heal, and his aura to flux wildly in a fiery-like manner. Snarled and felt his skin being burned off as Bee gaped like a fish, despite his lightning armor protecting his body. The two quickly got into an all-out taijutsu, grappling battle to the death with no thought of using jutsus or weapons. Kumo's forces were engaging Naruto's own shinobi forces around them, and the Kumo shinobi were initially holding their own, until the ever-fanatical Kaguya Kimimaro slashed through his enemies. Anko summoned her giant snake summons, and now Yujito used the Nebai's chakra. The last one surprised the Kumo shinobi the most, as they had not expected this at all, and seeing the Kunoichi now wearing the Emperor's symbol on her headband instead of their own had a devastating effect on their morale. Naruto and were now competing in a strength match, their hands grabbing each other, trying to push their opponent back, and their powers clashing violently. Their faces were barely an inch apart as they felt the power of the opposition attack them, with Naruto's lightning armor attacking and Naruto's demonic fire-like aura covering his body attacking Naruto. The ground splintered beneath them, and their roars echoed across the battlefield, with nothing else around them making sense. You're not going to win here. I'm not going to let you, exclaimed as he pushed Naruto back a step, and the young emperor flared his power before pushing back with his own strength. Fool, I've already won Raikage. The people here will not suffer under my rule. Your corrupt daimyo will fall, and you, my distant kin on my father's side, will fall with him, exclaimed Naruto, who was surprised to be called kin of the late Hokage of Konoha. What are you talking about, boy? Exclaimed as he was pushed back and felt his strength dwindle. So you don't know. You have Namikaze blood in you. It explains your ability to move so fast like a god, though in a different way than my father. It's why the two of you can move fast on an almost equal level. The Namikaze ancestral home is where Kumo is now and was taken from the clan during the formation of the shinobi villages for the tactical advantages the natural defenses of the terrain provided, Naruto said before breaking the deadlock between them. You lie. You're trying to get into my head, exclaimed as he countered Naruto's punch to the face with one of his fists, causing the Emperor's helmet to fly off his head. I discovered proof in my clan home. Your ancestor was Namikaze Daichai, who stayed in Kumo in secret and began a new life in the village, Naruto replied before headbutting the man in the face. If what you say is true, then I have the right to know about your father's infamous jutsus that he created during the last war, O replied, smirking. True, if I wished it, but as the Yandame's only son, and rightful heir to both clans, I say you will never get them until the end of time, exclaimed Naruto before laughing at who looked enraged and realizing the younger man was correct. The two jutsus sought by the Raikage were indeed Naruto's birthright, to be used as he saw fit. Even now, the decree he just issued prohibits him from ever having them in his possession or learning them for his own use. Even if Naruto died, the way he phrased the ban itself covered the issue, so it couldn't have used the Rasengan or the Hurricane no Jutsu to decimate Iwa years ago. "Damn you," yelled as he attempted to destroy Naruto. But the Emperor anticipated the move and dodged the punch before launching his own volley. And everyone was surprised when the Raikage lightning armor was destroyed by repeated blows. He stumbled backwards before being hit by one of Naruto's powerful shoulder tackles, and he struggled to get up. "Help me, stop him," exclaimed as he noticed Naruto approaching him and summoned the Wrath Hammer into his hand. "This isn't a fight we can win, bro. Our troops look like they're ready to run and go. We should seek terms for surrender." "Yeah, no," suggested B, leaving us stunned and then enraged that he would suggest such a thing to him. "I am your Raikage, and I gave you an order. Now do as I say and obey me," commanded A, while Naruto waited to see what the Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails would do next. "That's not cool." "I'm your bro, not your slave," B responded, and now seeing red in his vision for reasons other than the blood flowing from his forehead down his face. "I am the Raikage of Kumo. You are one of my shinobi and one of my Jinchuriki. You will obey or you will be destroyed. I have no use for disobedient shinobi and even less use for defiant Jinchuriki," exclaimed A, with B looking as if he had been punched in the face by all the elder gods. "You would actually ... kill me, bro?" B asked, as A struggled to get back up. And it was clear the Raikage's rage was getting the best of him. "It's bad enough that Yujito spends her days whoring herself out to this man like a common slut. But for you to even question me and consider Kumo surrendering to this monster is ... is unforgivable," exclaimed A, while his mind was already assuming that B had betrayed him for greener pastures and siding with Naruto, and the Raikage suspected that the Emperor had even B incentive with a high-level position. "Don't talk about Yujito like that, bro. She's strong and smart and knows when to follow her heart wherever it says to go," B countered, surprised when A moved towards him and punched the would-be rapper in the face with a Jinchuriki. "Shut up. Shut your damn mouth. I will not have you backtalk me any longer with your pointless and useless rapping," exclaimed A, whose mind had clearly devolved into insanity, and his temper only exacerbated the situation. Anything else he wanted to say was cut short when Naruto swung his hammer at A's head, sending him flying and bouncing hard on the ground. "Disgusting piece of filth," yelled Naruto angrily before approaching B and helping him up. "Damn, bro has really lost his mind. He needs to get his head out of his behind," B exclaimed, smirking at Naruto. "Ungrateful, you ungrateful brat. I embraced you as my brother. I protected you from those who despised you in Kumo. And this is how you repay me, siding with that monster," yelled A, as B shook his head. "You have to stop, bro. Your mind is going whack and needs to be reset," B said, with a furious at being labeled insane. "Shut up. I see now that it was foolish of me to even protect you or show you any kind of support on my end. To think I listened to the Yondaime Hokage about how Jinchuriki should be loved. Jinchuriki are just weapons. They should not be loved. They should all be controlled, restricted, and know their place in the world is at the feet of their cage," said A, while B closed his eyes in pain and anger at hearing that. "To think you are of my blood on my father's side of the family makes me wonder why Daichai stayed in Kumo. No doubt he was a traitor to his family then, as you are to be now," Naruto said as he walked toward A, an angry expression on his face. "What do you know? You're just some Tobe emperor with dreams of global conquest," countered A, with Naruto moving faster than his eyes could see and closelining the Raikage right into the ground. "And the world you know is better. Its people are weak, divided, filled with corrupt power-hungry bakas for leaders. Leaders who let their people suffer and die so they can live a little bit better than everyone else, or that of their supposed rivals. I will not allow such a world to exist any longer. My dawn as the ruler of this world is fast approaching. And you Raikage of Kumo are not going to stop me from unifying the world. Monsters. All of you are monsters. And those who follow you are monster lovers. Love has no place in the shinobi world," exclaimed A, glaring up at Naruto's helmetless face. "Only in your version of the shinobi world. Goodbye, Raikage of Kumo. May your soul find understanding while in the Netherrealm," Naruto replied before smashing A's skull with his wrath hammer. "Sorry, my bro went crazy. All the stress made his mind go hazy," B said, with Naruto not saying anything for a moment and the battles around them having ceased when the sight of A being killed was seen by all. "There is no need to apologize, B. As you are now the strongest Kumo shinobi here, I'm placing you in charge of Kumo and its shinobi for a time," Naruto declared as his power rescinded into his body, and let out a tired sigh, while B let out a pain-filled chuckle. "You've heard my bro. Move your ass and go," B said, with the Kumo shinobi surrounding him and Naruto nodding as they returned to Kumo to lick their wounds. "Are you okay, Naruto-sama?" Kimimaro inquired as Naruto walked sluggishly to his helmet and put it on. "Yes, Kimimaro. I'm fine. A little drained, but nothing a meal and rest can't fix. Have our forces form a defensive position here for now and send some scouts out to ensure no potential threats linger," Naruto replied, leaving Kimimaro to carry out his orders while Yujito walked up to him and wrapped her arms around his body. "It hurt you to kill him," Yujito said, nodding, "because killing family of any kind made him feel as morally bankrupt as the Uchiha." I didn't want to, but his heart was beyond redemption. He may have tried to protect you and be from being hated in Kumo, but deep down the convictions I lived by were destroyed by his hatred of me changing the world. Before I began to change things, I was a man who could not be opposed without suffering heavy losses, and there was no reason to embrace change. You push yourself too hard sometimes. My emperor, you need to relax more, Yujito said sulkily, causing Naruto to chuckle before noticing Anko walk over to them and sit on the opposite side of the blonde woman. And you'd like to help me relax, I take it? Naruto asked, as Yujito rubbed her hands over his torso and Anko did the same. Not just me, Samui, Karui, Shiva, Anko, Shizune, Hinata, and the others know how hard you work to bring happiness to the world, and you deserve to be rewarded for all of your efforts, Yujito replied, kissing his body and moaning from the sensation of her body's contact with his. She was in love with the way it felt. Then we must hurry. The sooner I finish what I'm doing here, the sooner I can get my reward, remarked Naruto, Yujito purring loudly and looking at him with lust burning intensely in her eyes, while Anko exclaimed, fuck yeah. They were also looking forward to giving him his prize. You have a lot of nerve speaking to me now, Raiden. Coming here to my prison you and the Elder Gods put me in. A prison where I am confined unless humans summon me for their ceilings and schemes like some pet. Shinnok retorted angrily, staring at the Elder God of Lightning in front of him. Be lucky you are allowed to live and keep some status as a god, Shinnok. And I am here because I need your powers over the dead and 2 souls currently in your possession, Raiden replied, with Shinnok frowning at him. You need something from me. That's very interesting. Which 2 souls specifically do you require? Shinnok asked, Raiden's eyes narrowing slightly. The souls Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, Raiden replied, widening Shinnok's eyes. Those 2, why would you need them unless ... Oh, I see now. So the boy knows of his heritage and the prophecy is being fulfilled. Only you want to stop him and the prophecy from occurring. I would think you would have learned your lesson last time when you used that amulet of yours to alter events to prevent Armageddon at the hands of Shao Kahn, Shinnok commented, as he had been unaffected by the events Raiden did. Shinnok, like Raiden, knew that in order to stop Shao Kahn, the Elder Gods would have to intervene in breaking the rules, which could only happen during the invasion of Earthrealm. The problem was that the invasion had to be successful in order for the Elder Gods to intervene, and Raiden's force's ability to repel Shao Kahn the first time around resulted in the events that followed. So, with the warning from his future self, Shinnok's consciousness traveled further back than the amulet did with Raiden and sent Quan Kai to assist in events from that tournament all the way up to Shao Kahn's illegal invasion. The visions Raiden saw through his amulet were also seen by Shinnok, allowing events in the past to be altered in Shinnok's favor despite the Thunder God's feeble attempts to prevent some of them from occurring. If anything, the now Elder God in front of Shinnok had exacerbated the situation, and the fallen Elder God had been even closer to defeating Raiden the second time around. If Raiden had not recruited various warriors to fight for the forces of good, who had not fought during Shinnok's first attempt to take the realm, it would have been his to rule, and he would not be here in this state. I have their bodies, both fully healed. All I need are their souls, which you have, Raiden declared, with Shinnok nodding and smiling. Yes, I do possess their souls, but what do I gain by giving them to you? Shinnok questioned before being struck by lightning. Do not put me to the test, Shinnok. Do you really want Shao Kahn's descendant to take over the realm and begin his own conquest of others? Or a legal merging between Outworld and Earthrealm? It is possible that can happen without invasion should the boy or Shao Kahn figure it out, Raiden said, despite Shinnok's pain. I am well aware of how that particular loophole, Raiden. It was I who brought that point before the other Elder Gods many years ago when it came to the rules of allowing realms to merge, Shinnok replied, Raiden's eyes flashing with more lightning. Naruto has already married the Shaken Princess Shiva, but she and the rest of her people went into exodus from Outworld to prevent the tensions between them and the Centaurians from worsening. However, it has come to my attention that Melina has in fact fallen for one Kaguya Kimimaro of Earthrealm with the blessing to court given by both parties they serve, and if the two were to wed, Raiden said, leaving things unclear, then Outworld and Earthrealm would be allied and could be merged into one realm without the interference of the Elder Gods. Specifically you, Shinnok concluded, Raiden scowling at him. I cannot allow that to happen. One of Naruto's kin will not kill him, so I need the souls of his parents under my command to do it instead, Raiden replied, with Shinnok nodding, recognizing that those 2 souls could be enough to weaken, if not kill, Naruto given their respected powers. Again, what do I get in return? You must give an order to take, Shinnok said as Raiden frowned. I will give you the soul of Uchiha Obito, Raiden said, catching Shinnok off guard. The last surviving student of Namikaze Minato. Oh, that is rich. The student's soul for the teachers I possess. How interesting. But in order to do that, you would have to kill the man in order to have soul to trade with. And I know for a fact given my position that he is not dead, said Shinnok, as Raiden stomped his staff once and lightning shot from the sky to the ground, revealing a chain-defeated figure of Uchiha Obito was the name. What the hell? Where am I? How did I get here? Inquired Obito as he attempted to use his Sharingan to use the Kamui but found it ineffective, glaring at the Elder God standing next to him. You are being made into a sacrifice mortal. You have become payment for the return of your sensei and his wife to life, Shinnok replied, his voice gleeful. What? No, never. I won't be your pawn. My dream of reuniting with my Rin-chan will not be denied, exclaimed Abido as he tried to break free from the chains but found them too strong, leaving him only to stare at the two gods. She's a dead mortal. Nothing can change that. Accept it. Do we have a deal? Raiden said, his tone indicating to Shinnok that he was unconcerned about this mortal's protests. Of course, but only for Namikaze Minato, not for Uzumaki Kushina, his wife. I need another soul, a female soul to be exact, and of equal value to trade, Shinnok replied, with Raiden not looking pleased. Done, Raiden replied, knowing he could get Kushina later if Minato failed because she was an even better weapon to use against Naruto in some ways than her husband. No, you have no right to use me in this manner, yelled Abido before his body was absorbed into Shinnok's body and Namikaze Minato's soul, along with the other half of Kyubai's chakra. What exactly is going on? Minato wondered before seeing his recently repaired body appear via a bolt of lightning striking the ground and finding himself inside it. You have been chosen by myself to combat a great evil threatening your realm, Raiden replied, as Minato stared at him in surprise. What is the danger? Who could be worse than the man who caused the Kyuubi to attack Konoha? Minato inquired, Raiden looking him in the eyes. Your son, Raiden replied, Minato's eyes widening. What? Naruto? But how? Why? It's illogical. Minato was surprised to learn that his son had become a threat to the world, and he wondered what the hell had happened since his death. I'll explain it to you before you know that your soul is mine to command until you kill him, Raiden replied, with Minato looking horrified. I cannot and will not. You are asking me to kill my own son for reasons I have yet to learn, Minato said before being struck by lightning by the Elder God and finding lightning-based chains wrap around his body. You will be told of your son's actions that have resulted in my reasons for this, but to ensure you obey regardless of your opinion on the matter. These lightning chains will bind you to me, and the commands I give will be obeyed, Raiden stated before disappearing in a flash of lightning with Minato. Wrong move, Raiden. Even after all these years, you still haven't learned anything. Your actions will bring you down. If the Elder Gods don't punish you, Shao Kahn's descendant will. And if he's anything like his forefather ... you'll wish Armageddon had happened sooner, Shinnok said before laughing cruelly wickedly from within his confined prison.
So this was it for today. I will continue the story in next part. Till then, we weeb offline.